It's Ron Reader digs the universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe. And tonight, GOP coup begets street backlash, begets martial law, the end. Two of the questions that intellectually motivate me are, what does this all mean, and where is this all headed? I use those questions whenever I think about pretty much anything. Lately, I've been meditating on voter demographic changes, GOP voter suppression efforts, and Trump brown shirt violence and agitation all together as one big phenomenon. And let me tell you, I'm terrified. I am seeing one very likely and frightening scenario for the conservative endgame in American politics. I mean, it doesn't have to happen this way, but I'm not seeing anything on the horizon that will stop it either. It goes like this. Republicans are well aware that the American white majority heyday is now a thing of the past, electorally speaking, and they know these demographic changes will not stop. Conservatives can no longer win fair elections. They are now the white people's party, for better or worse, and their numbers are shrinking and will continue to shrink for the foreseeable future. So short of a complete turnabout on issues, which ain't gonna happen, Republicans are simply no longer competitive in elections. So for them, stealing elections isn't simply dirty politics, it is survival. They will fight to keep power like an animal in a death match. I mean, it is a death match from their perspective, and there are no rules when you fight to the death. So now they have geared an enormous portion of their vast resources toward straight up election theft, and I think they will succeed. Flash forward to January of 2025. The Republicans have stolen the presidency. Their voter suppression tactics have resulted in taking back both houses of Congress, and they already own the Supreme Court. This will not, of course, go unnoticed by the non-fascist, racially and ethnically diverse American majority, and many of them will hit the streets in protest. As we've seen from recent history, Republican-controlled states will crack down hard and fast, violently, on these protests, and the GOP feds in Washington will do all in their power to do the same in Democratic-controlled states. After all, the whole lot of these protesters are nothing but Marxist, Antifa, Black Lives Matter terrorists, right? This crackdown will necessarily result in larger and more widespread anti-fascist protests. And look, here come the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and the 3%ers and various other heavily armed paramilitary brown shirts to bust hippies and black people's heads. Chaos ensues from coast to coast, and that's when the new Republican president, declaring himself above all the pettiness and violence and conflict, well, that guy declares martial law in order to restore order. To restore order from the chaos they will have created. It will be the Republican equivalent, finally, of the Reichstag fire, a national emergency requiring special powers to fix, and that's it. The national emergency will continue forever, so martial law will continue forever, and America will be at last dead. A South African-style apartheid police state with whites brutally in charge as it should be, right? Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be like this. I mean, I get predictions wrong all the time. Some of you might recall my failed prediction of post-electoral widespread right-wing violence. That didn't happen, thank God. But we did get the January 6th insurrection, which I think was a manifestation of all the malevolent white cultural trends that had me predicting something more national in its scope. And as we learn more details of that day, January 6th, the whole event becomes ever more vile, disgusting, and violent than even what we saw when we watched it on television in real time. The point here is that while we can't really know what's going to happen with all this in the future, there can be no doubt that there are a lot of perilous factors in play, stuff this country has never experienced in its 250-year history. I think the Democrats need to shut this shit down. The whole voting coup project. Like yesterday, as aggressively as possible, fuck Manchin, fuck Cinema, ram this shit through now. Because once the ball gets really rolling down this spiral toward national death, it will very likely be too late to stop. I'm Ron Reeder, and this has been Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reeder, again next week for another episode of Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. I get predictions wrong all the time.